All right, let's get this show on the road. So I was using, as you probably saw in some of the previous videos, I was carrying an Echelon for MHC by Springfield on Marine. And I was having a hard time finding holsters that were, one, safe, and two, comfortable, and three, any. There were just not many out there. The pistol's not really taking off. I loved the pistol. You can probably tell where I'm going with this already from the past tense. I loved the pistol. It shot extremely well. It was very ergonomic. And it racked super easy. It racked like it was a rubber band, not a spring. Easy to manipulate, fully ambidextrous. And um, I couldn't buy accessories for it. So I need holster options because there may be times where I need an appendix carry. There may be times where I'm really better off with a 4 o'clock carry. You know, if I'm standing all day, I'm in an appendix carry at my counter or, um, so I need options, and they're just really lacking for that pistol yet. You know, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, maybe so, it may take off. But I think a lot of people are just going to stick with like the Hellcat Pros, and unfortunately, maybe skip this pistol over, thinking that it doesn't have much to offer, and it really did. But I did have to part ways with it because I just couldn't buy accessories. I couldn't find holsters, and that was my main concern. If I can't carry it, I can't carry it comfortably. It's probably going to stay at home or my glove box. That does me no good. So I don't know if any of my previous videos I've done this, but I know I have done this in general. Bashing, Glock. I've bashed Glock a lot. But I'm only ever able to be able to bash them in one thing, and that's ergonomics, and that's personal preference of ergonomics. I have had hard times shooting accurately with Glocks because of the very steep grip angle. Whenever I would present the Glock, I would close my eyes, present the pistol, open my eyes. The front sight was always high, like a half-inch high at least. Then I'd be at the Glock 19 was that way. I can't remember the nomenclature for the 40 caliber Glock. That did only 40 at mean pound. Don't judge me. It was my dad's. So, Glock 19s, I like the size, I like the platform. I just cannot shoot them at. And you really don't have a whole lot of room to adjust your grip for that odd angle. And the screen fill was a bit tough to conceal appendix. It was a little thicker than like the Hellcat Pros that a lot of people will appendix. I mean, your Glock 48 that a lot of people will appendix. It was a little thicker, and especially in the grip. And I needed to gain a little bit of comfort. And I also wanted more holster availability, more accessory availability, and parts availability. You can just get parts for a Glock from the convenience store these days. It's everywhere. I mean, they're all over the place. So, one of the most reputable firearm, pistol manufacturers in the world. So I know that I can get stuff for it. With that said, I got rid of the Echelon and I traded into a Glock 48 because I took this concern of grip angle and needing a slender pistol, and I took this concern to my local gun store. I was by somewhere down the road from me here in Michigan, Davidson, Michigan. And I talked to the guys about it, and he said, try the 48. And I played it a few times and just didn't really seem to line up. I would open my eyes back up because I wanted something that I could close my eyes, point over and over, and it points as natural as possible. Is it we dead on? No. But I at least want my sights to be level across. Windage, left and right, that's a me issue. Not really, Alan presenting the best of I tried it a few times, and I was like, you know what? I just, I felt kind of dirty. Um, I just maybe a little embarrassed holding it along because it had been so long, and I um, wanted so much to love blocks because aside from the issue with the grip angle, they are absolutely phenomenal pistols. If you can get past the ergonomics, they're bricks and they point oddly for some people who are used to like an M&P or a 1911 kind of a grip, which is a bit straighter. That's what I'm used to. Well, I left, and I think 2 days later I went back and I was like, you know what? I want to grab the Hellcat Pro, hold it a little bit, kind of a little bit, price it out, and do the same thing with the Glock again, and just see, just give it another go. And I did, and for the pricing, I think it was $499 for the 48 Glock 48 MOS. I got everything that I needed. The Hellcat provided it, sure. A little bit more ergonomic, probably. Slim, yeah. But I really didn't need to spend the extra money because it didn't have anything that the Glock 48 didn't have that I was looking for. This is a tool. It's a tool to save your life and protect your family. And it didn't need to be fancy or pretty. I needed to be able to point it correctly. And so I got the 48, and it that one was deadly. It points great. And it took very little training. I just held it in my hands, and I was at the store, and they probably knocked around me off because I wasn't buying anything at the time. I just practiced closing my eyes, pointing it, and checking where my sights were. So I did that a few times and realized I can easily compensate for that because I've got more room on this center grip to adjust my grip. And I can kind of change the way I get a purchase on this firearm. And I can squeeze a little more at the bottom with my bottom two fingers, especially the pinky, and really bring that from the sight down. And with a Glock 19, which is, if you lay them on top of each other, they look identical. The Glock 19 is so much wider that I didn't have that extra room. I didn't have that extra space to be able to move my hands around and change my grip. And the whole reason I went back is because the guy was like, the slim line's point different. You may not believe me. You may think I'm full load. The slim line's point different. And he was correct. And it's not that the angle's any different. It's that you can point it differently because you've got a little play to adjust your grip. So I had him take the Holosun EPS Carry multi-reticle. I really like this. Enclosed in there. Took it off my Echelon and put it on this, and it's actually, the camera's gonna take it away, but it's actually a little wider than the slide. But it's enough of a window for me to do what I need to do with it. I took it to the range Sunday. Today's Tuesday, yeah. Took it to the range Sunday. Put about 200 rounds to it. And after about 100 rounds, I was able to shoot sub 3-inch, almost just shy of being 2-inch groups at 45 feet, 15 yards. And do I chalk a lot of that up to an MOA dot on this site? Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to see your target. But also that I could get a good grip on this and shoot comfortably. And it's not sloppy loose tolerances. I mean, they're accurate pistols. Any pistol is going to be more accurate than the user. The red dot, which I use when I'm carrying it, I paying extra carrying it for personal defense, instead of the dot or the dot and donut, I use just the donut. I have astigmatism, and if I don't have my glasses on, I can still use that fuzzy round circle and, use that to get a good side picture. That little tiny 1 MOA dot just kind of splays out and turns into nothing. And then the circle dot is just too busy to be able to see my target. So yes, big fan of this. It adjusts for ambient light. Some people not that if you're in a area where it's dark and you're aiming somewhere where it's brighter and the room is lit up. Is that an issue? Yeah, your dot to leak dimmer. But you can co-with it. So, I'll probably get some macro lights and throw on here. I'm not going to go stupid suppressor height because the bottom of the sight of the optic is notched enough to where I can get my faint post down in the U on the side. So that's all that problem. Also, if the battery's completely dead and there's light around, you're going to get some kind of dot because it's going to give you sort of like an emergency backup power supply. This is what that is. So, unlike some models, it does not recharge an internal battery. You have to change the battery. But the battery's on the side, you pull it out and change it versus taking the whole thing off and change the battery. Like on some sites, I do like that you can take that out, take that battery out of the side. It's a huge thing. Nobody wants to have to re-zero it every time their battery dies. Another thing, you may notice, or may not, that my magazine release looks a little odd. It's a little checkered. It's there striped. That is because that is a metal mag catch. Well, Joe, why do you have a metal mag catch and a pistol that uses plastic magazines? Well, everybody, you already know why. It's because I'm using the Shield Arms S15 magazines. So this is like a third generation that they've got. And they've got these raised portions on the back. They've got a raised rib right here on the front. The earlier iterations of these that people had issues with did not have those raised portions. There was some slot in the mag well, which changed the way the round was presented to the breech of the barrel. And sometimes you get a failure to feed. That's been resolved. I shot these Sunday and had 0 problems out of them. I'm going to shoot them more and keep testing them. But it's a 15-round magazine in the Glock 48, which is designed to shoot 10-round magazines that were plastic with metal on the inside. For me, I wanted a Glock 19 to work for me. I couldn't get it to work for me. I wanted the 15+1. I could not get it to work for me. This is basically my Glock 19 that I wanted because I can hold 15 rounds. It's pretty much the same size, pretty much the same length, slide is almost the same thing. There's a little bit of difference. Barrel maybe a little bit of difference. It's pretty much the same pistol, just slimmer. And I can get that front sight down, and that's the main thing. I can get this down on the target, and it's I'll make probably a little bit lighter. I'm not gonna go through take specs. I'm not gonna go through any of those, what it comes with, barrel length, all that jive measurements, because you can go on AI like Gemini or ChatGPT, ask a question, and it'll be up there in 5 seconds. So just feel free to do that. It'll do it quicker than the website will load. These magazines, I like them a lot. And with the metal mat edge, they want to pop out. And you don't have to rip them out unless you have malfunction. And then there's a base plate and a lip right here on the base plate, but you can't rip it out. I like that. That's what I liked about my MR920, was it used was the Pro Mag, aftermarket Glock mags. They had a bigger base plate. They had serrations that you could grab and rip it out. If you had a double feed, do the same thing with these and all. So with those magazines and with this pistol, I shot a Spirit Woman 115, I believe, MagTape 124, over the American Gunner XTP 124 grain plus Ps, just because I've had that carry ammo for about 5 years now, and it's time to shoot it up and move on, which I am moving on. This is a good summer carry round, I feel. It's a little shy on the penetration and a lot of tests. But, t-shirt weather gets the job done. And probably the other time. And in winter, I will probably switch back to the, because I've got some more, the 124 grain and the HTP and a plus P. So, yeah, there's that. I loaded my Echelon, but I needed something slimmer, and I needed something I could conceal more comfortably, and that I could holsters for. My local shop, Vice Armory, here, just outside of Davison, Michigan. They've got a guy that makes holsters. And here's what I've learned being a fat guy trying to look inexperienced. Wedge. The wedge is necessary. And also did a Glock 43X and complained because the grip that's the tilt forward when you sit down. The lower slide actually helps keep this flush and flatter against you when you have a bit of a gut. And then you add the foam wedge. You get these, and that's what I bought for Amazon. Now, it Velcro's on and off. You apply the Velcro, 3M Velcro. It's 3M Velcro. That they can use. It adhesive really good. I even used some of the backing that I didn't need, and I kind of softened this up here where it might be into me a little bit. And I can comfortably appendix carry a Glock 19 sized pistol. And I never thought I'd be able to do that. I used to think, it's like CP365s that you're going to appendix carry. No, actually, this is the easiest appendix carry I've tried so far. So, kudos. Like, you just got to figure out what works for you. I never even heard about the shims until like uh, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I was yeah, I was sold after I put the version in it. So yeah, Glock 48 MOS. Um, they had to do a little adjustment. They had to couple all the screws down. Nothing major. I think they charged me $30 to install it and zero it, and it was really close at 7 yards. What I would call close in there, 7 yards, which is what I usually practice out of the range. I take it to 15 yards, 45 feet, because I eventually do when I get my NRA pistol instructor certification. Then you have to have a 6-inch group. I've probably said this before. You have to have a 6-inch group in a 9-inch circle at 45 feet. I believe it's 30 rounds. I think they break it up into a few different targets. This is capable of it. I'm capable of it. And the newer generation short-arms mags, if you've got the old generation that doesn't have those bumps in the back and that big ridge in the front, try getting these if you've had issues with your old ones. Because this has worked really good for me. And they're reliable, very easy to take down, super easy to take down. You don't have to push the little button and then squeeze on the sides like you do with Glock mags. I hate that. I don't think I've ever been able to successfully tear down a Glock magazine without at least 15 minutes of profanity. So definitely shoot on those magazines. Because then you've got a slimline 15 round magazine fired out, and it's a reliable pistol. And I've got big hands, and I can aim this just fine. So, yes, I do advise people to pick their pistols up at the shops, find out what points match with you, and try that. If you can't find anything that points just right for you, or if you find something else that checks off all the other boxes, training can make up for. And I guess I just didn't put in the time to relearn the gripping. And I don't really feel like I have to. That's just visible with natural now. So just wanted to update you guys on that.